Hi guys, I'm Neil, and I'm really glad that I'm taking this video again without any kind of lengthy. So last time we left over with a question that if you can't predict accurately and trying to being accurate is really inefficient, and we can adapt mid execution, then what's actually left? And I mentioned that the book has its own distinct answer or solution of this question, and it is called requisite uncertainty. But to be honest, parts of it are genuinely smart. That said, I feel that there's some flaws in the solution, so we're gonna cover about that flaws in this video. So the main core of my claim is this, or this book's claim, is since prediction is inherently uncertain, the solution isn't to predict better, but rather it's to split the organization into two layers. One of the layer manages strategic uncertainty, that's senior leadership, the CEO level, and they didn't commit to one feature, they hold multiple scenarios at once, like octopus legs. The other layer, the another one, just executes what the previous one, like what the anterior one asks to. So they just simply work hard as possible and they just commit their all resources. The mechanism connecting these two layers is what the books call strategic flexibility. Basically, it is built out multiple divisions and each one betting on a different scenario and let the resources flow toward whichever one actually starts working. And I actually think the core insight here is useful, like separating who manages uncertainty from who manages execution is quite efficient, according to my personal experience with design thinking and execution. That kind of like imagining and somewhat being somewhat entertained or concerned about probable situations is really helpful, and the organization can manage the future future disaster. But the thing is that it's quite inefficient in terms of execution. Like, and because I know that I will consult people with that kind of knowledge. So if I'm helping someone execute, I can be the one managing their industry level uncertainty. Maybe that's their goal, but I can make sure they've actually thought about it before they commit everything to one plan. But here's one my question with the actual mechanism of strategic flexibility. Like, let's say, for example, you run five divisions, and those divisions are based on the probable situation that might come up in the future, right? And the book says the CEO solves this by cutting budgets to the losers and pouring more into the winner. I mean, like the winning division or a division that actually makes a profit. That sounds probable because, like all divisions have to work as much as possible and commit all the resources that they have. But if the resources are unlimited and the division fail, the loss will be crucial. So the book says that by limiting the resources that division's gonna possess, they can manage the loss and profit. And superficially, it's it's not nonsense, right? But it actually requires the CEO to correctly identify the winner fast enough for it to matter, and somewhat like at some point the CEO has to make a prediction. It's inevitable, and I feel that it's quite contradict, but like which is itself. The book just told me the prediction is a problem. The exact problem is, huh? Honestly, like the exact problem this whole framework was supposed to get around. So the solution quietly brings back the thing he was trying to escape, right? Um, actually, there's one more thing the book barely touches. The point is, this entire structure depends on a huge amount of trust between leadership and the execution teams, right? So if the people at the top are managing the long-term uncertainty, while the people are executing what the best asks to them, just doing all their work, what they're asked for, without any provided context, is quite invisible. Like, in theory, it can work, but I don't think that, like, not gonna function in a real world problem. And it may lay a lot of conflicts between the CEO and the people who work in people who execute, right? So that is what I've really felt in design thinking in my personal student group called BNGPT. It's about AI. And like the final question or flaw, limitation of this mechanism is the average profit of the organization. So, as I've mentioned, the strategy flexibility is for an organization to possess strategy flexibility, it must possess a lot of divisions. And the basis that the theory makes its points by assuming that some divisions are going to fail and some will be successful. By controlling their resources, we're gonna manage the profit and loss, right? But the thing is that, yeah, some divisions can be really successful, and the CEO can push the divisions. But the thing is that because some divisions were gonna fail, the average like gross profit of the organization would be limited. It means that like the organization by itself can survive, but the or the company or firm itself will not be really successful as a whole team. But the book told us that like being in the middle being in the middle, not being extreme, such as being super successful or just going into the bankruptcy is not quite good, right? So the book has told me that stuck in the middle is bad. So yeah, I think that that's a significant problem of this mechanism, and I really can like bet myself that almost no company will follow this structure because there are too many flows and people like what they're comfortable with. The organ like the ones they already have. So here's where I've landed after this one chapter of the book, and yet it didn't directly answer my original question, which is how can we maximize execution level so the strategy can be actualized, but still it lands me more question and it makes me ask about the strategy itself before trying to execute it. In the next section, we're going to cover that, and maybe I can make my personal module to mitigate the setbacks or shortcomings that the strategic flexibility has.